morning, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and this is the May 2014, I always have trouble with the month, the May 2014 Coffee Pot webinar from Attorney Computer Systems. I'm very excited today because I'm going to show you something that has not been available before. Well, it has, but only if you had PracticeMaster. So we'll get into that in a second. But first, a little bit of housekeeping. This is the GoToWebinar control panel, which you may or may not be looking at right now. If you've been to one of our webinars or virtual user group meetings before, then you probably know that this button here that juts off to the left that looks like an arrow pointing to the right means get rid of this big thing. And when you click this button to get rid of this big thing, which you would probably do because it's covering up my screen and you really want to see everything that's on my screen, this button will, after clicking it to get rid of this, will turn into a button that looks like an arrow pointing to the left, and that will bring this back. Why would you want to bring it back? We all know it's because you're shy and you have a question, and if you're shy and you have a question, you want to type it and not have to speak in front of the class. So just bring back this big control panel, type your question right here. Don't forget to hit the send button, and Leanne, our lovely but almost late moderator, will notice that you have a question and will interrupt me at just the right time. We'll ask your question on your behalf and we'll make sure that you get it answered. What do I mean? Well, I mean if you have follow-up questions, or if I'm not answering the right question, or you have another question, just keep typing them here and keep hitting send, and Leanne will keep asking your questions as they build upon my answer. Now, if you're not shy and you want to speak in front of the class, all you really have to do is press this button, which looks like a hand with an arrow pointing upwards in front of it, which means raise your hand. Leanne will do the same thing, except that when she interrupts me, she's not going to read your question. She's going to unmute you, and you can ask your own damn question. So if you want to ask a question live, press this button, that button. If you want to ask a question kind of shyly, type it here, hit send, and we will get you taken care of. Now, we're going to press a couple magic buttons. That's one of them. That's another one. And here we are. This is what we're talking about. This is what we've always had. New, old. New, old. Now, this, as many of you know, is the Tabs3 Connect screen. Tabs3 Connect is a feature of Platinum that allows you to do 6 really cool things from PracticeMaster, and that's key, from PracticeMaster, from the cloud, from your home computer as long as it's connected to the internet, from your iPad, from your Moto X phone, from your iPhone, wherever you are, and whatever device you have that happens to be connected to the internet can get to Tabs3 Connect, can sign in and can do these 6 things. Well, wait a minute. That other screen had 4 things. Well, that's the key. It goes along with the fact that I said these 6 things are from PracticeMaster. And one that is very interesting to people is adding fees. And they want to do that, and they want to do just that. Well, the problem in the past was, and by the way, I want to mention that next month, this same webinar, in the June time slot, is going to talk about the 3 ways that you can enter time remotely. One of them is iTimekeep for people that don't have Platinum, or that for whatever reason they want to use something different. One of them is Platinum Tabs3 Connect, and one is the one we're looking at today, which is Tabs3 Connect for Tabs users. So remember, I said these 6 functions, they've been here since version 16? 17? I'm a little confused. Version 16, maybe 16.2. This is Tabs3 Connect. They are functions of PracticeMaster. Now you're thinking, fees, that's not a PracticeMaster function. That's something you do in Tabs. But you can do it in PracticeMaster. So up until very few weeks ago, 2 to be exact, 3 perhaps, that was funny, 2 to be exact, or maybe 3. We won't go there. You had to have Platinum, you still do, but you also had to have Tabs and PracticeMaster to use Tabs3 Connect. And so what that meant was that firms that had Tabs but did not have PracticeMaster and wanted to enter their time remotely, they had to buy PracticeMaster Platinum for each of the users that they wanted to do that to get them into Tabs3 Connect, because up until 3 weeks ago, exactly, or maybe 2, that was only a function that was available to firms. The Tabs3 Connect functionality was only available to firms that had both PracticeMaster and Tabs. Why? Because these functions are really PracticeMaster functions. Matter Manager, Clients and Contacts, Calendar, these are all things that are PracticeMaster specific, and therefore they are things that PracticeMaster users get. Well, a lot of people, to be, I don't know, not blunt, they were a little upset by that. Okay, some of the people, okay, maybe a lot of people, and maybe they weren't just a little upset, but the people that just had Tabs but that had paid the money to get to Platinum thought, well, wait a minute, we want to be able to enter time too. And so what they did is they came up with this. And the only difference is it doesn't have the contact management, because that's something that's really a PracticeMaster feature. It doesn't have the calendar, because that's also something that's a PracticeMaster feature. It does have clients. It does have Matter Manager, and if you're familiar, you're saying, well, wait a minute, that's a PracticeMaster feature. But what they did is they took the functionality that's in Matter Manager that has to do with billing, and they left it in here. So you can still see your fees. You can still see a billing summary in the Matter Manager if you just have Tabs3 Connect for Tabs3 users. So now people that use Tabs3 only, don't have PracticeMaster but do have Platinum, can get to this ability to enter time remotely. What's the catch? Well, you pay for it. You pay $60 per year per named user. So rather than having to buy PracticeMaster Platinum for all the people you want to do this for, you instead can kind of ease your way into it by paying $60 a year per person that's going to be entering their time this way. So just so you can see, I know some of you have probably already seen this, but we'll show it again. This is how you enter time. Purdue Law Offices is who it defaults to, because that's who I was just looking at on the Matter Manager. But if I need to select a different client, I just pull this up. It shows me my most recently used ones, or I can type that to go to a new one. It defaults to today. It defaults to me. You don't even see a timekeeper because I've logged in as Paula Purdue. Well, actually, I've logged in as Patty Alt, but we won't go there. And so, therefore, it knows who the timekeeper is. It defaults to 1, your number 1 transaction code, which for us is a blank one. So really all you have to do is put 0.25 hours, talk to David regarding trademark. Hit save, and that's done. Now, very cool that you can add time from the road. Very cool that you can do it on any internet-enabled device. This works great on phones. It has a slightly different orientation because phones are oriented in a slightly different way. It's great that you can do it on an iPad. It's even great that you can do it on your home computer, because a lot of people want to catch up on their time entry on that last day of the month, which we won't even go there, from home while they're watching The Good Wife or perhaps one of 2 other shows. What's really cool in my mind is that if we were to go into our real running copy of PracticeMaster and pull up Purdue Law Offices, or I could go into Tabs, doesn't matter, and go over to this fee screen, we have instantly have access to, from our regular system, Tabs data that includes this Talk to David retrademark. So what we're getting here is instant adding of time into the system. No batching, no pressing a button to submit, no pressing a button to import. Somebody's out on the road, they pull up their phone, they're in a line at Starbucks, and they answer 2 emails, they bill 0.1 hours for each of them, and bam. If Shirley in the office prints that back, that bill for that client right away, those 2 entries are going to be on there. Very, very cool. Now, what else is different? Let's take a look back here. This is PracticeMaster's version of Tabs3 Connect. And so it has contacts and it has calendar. Now, I'm not going to go into that because our reason for talking about this today is because we're talking about what's now available to Tabs3 Only users. It has the fee entry screen just like we had it on the other system. Looked a little different because I was in Internet Explorer. It has the ability to add costs just like the other system did. don't have many clients that use this, but I have a couple of firms. I have a firm in Chicago that does workers' comp, so when their attorneys travel to their Champlain office, I can never remember how to pronounce that city, they enter their mileage billables to the client through costs right away. We have clients, but clients to me doesn't mean much because you get the same information in the Matter Manager. The calendar and the contacts are the things that are different or that are missing from the other product. We don't find alarms because those are calendar oriented. That's what this button does. And we don't find the ability to do the instant messaging that we call e-notes that are a function of PracticeMaster. Also, the Matter Manager is a little bit scaled down over here in that it only shows things that are specific to billing. So here, again, we don't have alarms. We don't have the e-notes feature. We do have Matter Manager, but when we go into it for Purdue Law, we will only see things like fees, costs, the ability to do the billing summary, and that's pretty much it. All activity is just going to bundle my fees and costs together. Costs and fees is going to show me them separately, and the billing summary is going to show me the billing summary. Now, if you're familiar with PracticeMaster's implementation of the Matter Manager, if we pull that up for Purdue Law offices, obviously I don't have this set right because Leanne was rushing me so much before there. We will see that there's a whole bunch of other stuff that we can see here. We can see the journal, the fees and costs, of course, the billing summary, of course, but we also have calendar and contacts and documents, and we have other files. We, for instance, track opportunities, which is not something you'd track, but everything that's in PracticeMaster that you can see in the Matter Manager, when you're looking at Tabs3 Connect from the PracticeMaster perspective, you can see that. When you're looking at this new scaled-down version of the Matter Manager for Tabs3 Only customers, you will only see stuff that relates to billing. So that really is pretty much it. Now, again, I said next month we're going to get really into the differences between the PracticeMaster implementation, the Tabs3 implementation of Tabs3 Connect, and iTimekeep, which is a whole separate product that doesn't even require Platinum, but ends up, getting your time into the system remotely just the same. Okay, so that's what our focus is next month. But we wanted to get this information out there and let people know that this is now available. And how do you do it? Well, if we go to the user file, you'll notice, if you're familiar with how this user file works, and if you're not, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's just one new thing that's been added here that lets me switch between whether the user is a billing only or a billing and PracticeMaster access. So in a firm that has PracticeMaster, but only for a couple of users, and they also buy some Tabs3 Connect only licenses, Tabs3 Only licenses, they decide what users get what functionality. For a firm that has just PracticeMaster and didn't buy any additional licenses, they can select who has what functionality, but everybody's entitled to full functionality. And for those firms that just have Tabs3 Connect for Tabs3 Only users, this is the only functionality they can select. So really, it's just a matter when you set them up, and this is the same setup that we've always had for Tabs3 Connect, we now have this additional feature access section. Now, by the way, if you have Tabs3 and it's Platinum and you want to get this, and you're willing to pay the $60 per named user per year, which I think is a pretty good price, then you can order it and have it the same day because of the new licensing that STI's introduced, where things are licensed over the internet instead of them having to send you CDs. So that is it. Let me look here. I covered pricing. I covered differences. I talked about the configuration. Are there any questions, Leanne?
There are no questions.
She was just ready to go with that this time. I don't know if you noticed it, but I did. No questions. That either means that I did a very good job of explaining, or everyone's asleep. Please don't tell me if you're asleep because I don't want to know. So we'll leave it at that. And I will show you that if you go to our website, which is attorneycomputersystems.com, you have the ability, once you can see my tie and white shirt, to look at all of our Coffee Pot webinars, along with the e-bites and the Paul and Mary Jo show and all of the virtual user group meetings we have. So if you go here, you can always look at past recordings simply by scrolling down. They're listed underneath the registration for the current webinar. So with that, I'm going to close. Everybody have a good weekend. We will see you next month when we talk a little bit more about ways to get time in, including iTimekeep. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.